I'm like, man, I'm running around like crazy. I'm doing all these designs and estimates. And for every 10 projects I give a design and estimate, I'm getting 3 jobs. And I'm like, it's just killing me. Some of these jobs, I'm like spending hours, if not days, doing this grand 3D design. And they say, oh, that looks great. We're gonna think about it. Never hear from him again. My wife's cousin, Steve, looks at me, he goes, I get like 10 out of 10. How do you do that? The Sandler sales system.
Describe what that is, the Sandler sales system. Well,
Yeah.
first of all, how much did it help you? You went from closing 3 out of 10 to what?
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. Wow, okay, so how? What is Sandler? Welcome back to another episode of the Cost of Doing Business show. Today we are in New Jersey. Eric Ranella, one of our engineers, and myself are on a road trip. We're doing a bit of a podcast tour. This morning we started off at Pop Rock in Danville, Pennsylvania, west of here. And we swung in to see the Womer boys, dad and son operation, about an hour and a half east of here. And we're finishing the day off here with Jon Valenta. We've known each other for a little over 2 years now, right?
Over 2 years.
Yeah.
It was the March of 22
Okay.
when I met Fred.
I remember that.
Yeah,
At
and
the Northeast
signed up.
Hardscape show.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, why don't you give us a bit of an intro for everyone listening, who you are and what your business is like? What in terms of just what you do and.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I'd love to give a little background.
Sure.
So yeah, I'm Jon Valenta. My business is General Paving Stones. We are a paving stone contractor. That came from Charles Gamarikian, the owner of Cambridge Pavers. And this was back in the 90s. I was working for my father. He had a big landscape company. I started going to like the trade shows and things in the winter. And Cambridge had a show and he was talking about this industries in its infancy. Europe has like 25 square feet per capita. We're like single digits. So much growth to be had in the industry. And he said the paving stone contractor is a recognized trade, like plumber, carpenter, electrician. And that was the moment when I said, that's what I want to be. So I was working for my father, big landscaping company. He did everything. He was just getting into pavers and retaining walls, kind of put me in charge of that. But he did, planting and mulch and mowing and putting in lawn, seeding and sod, irrigation, like the works. And my theory was if I'm just another one of those guys that has that big long list, everything I do, which one are you good at? But also, why hire me? I'm no different than the other guy. Mm-hmm. So I decided to open a business as a specialist and do pavers and retaining walls.
And what year was that?
2005, I created the LLC.
Okay.
I was still working for my father, and fortunately, he was a tremendous help that I continued to work for him until the end of the 2012 season. He allowed me to, when I had some work for my business, I did that, and either if I didn't have enough work for myself or he needed me, then I worked for him. Mm-hmm. And he was extremely flexible. I'm super thankful that I was able to get my business established in the area, have a bunch of clients in the area and referrals and experience. When I started on my own, when he retired, it was the spring of 2013. I had plenty of work and plenty of clients in the area to have a good start and not be scrambling, trying to start a business with no previous clients and none of my own pictures of my own work. So it was a tremendous help having my father's business to work with and learn, and also help me, give me some of my own freedom to start my own thing because he knew he was going to retire and I knew I didn't want to take over his business.
Yeah. How long from that moment was it until you hired your first employee?
That leads into one of the probably like the biggest challenge of starting my own business.
Okay.
Because my goal was to work for my father and have a great established crew of employees and bring them with me when he retired. Mm-hmm. And I had 2 employees that were local to here because his business was in Newark, like 45 minutes, 50 minutes east of here. So I had hired 2 great guys I thought were great, local to here. Explain that to them. You're gonna work for my father's business, but when I have work, you're gonna work here, and when he retires, which is coming up in 2 years, I'm gonna keep it going, so you're still gonna have a job and you can work for me and we're gonna do a lot more local work. Well, the spring of 2013 came and I started my first job and they both quit immediately. The one guy sent me a text, never saw him again. The other one he's a good guy. He gave me 2 weeks notice. So at least I had one
What
guy
do you know
with me.
why, or what happened?
The good guy that gave me 2
Yeah.
weeks, he admitted, he's like, I'm just not cut out for this.
Okay.
He was the
The
guy.
work itself.
The outdoor heavy construction work.
Yeah.
He was in the summertime putting sunscreen on every hour.
I see.
We don't work in the winter, but like late fall, he's all bundled up, scarf, hat, like you could barely see his eyes. He couldn't take the elements.
I see.
And he had I think he hurt his wrist at one point. And I even, made a workers' comp claim. He got taken care of and all that, but he just like his wrist started bothering him again. And he's like, just not cut out for this. He got an office job. We still keep in touch. He's done his own like patio at his own house, sent me pictures, all proud, because he worked for me for, I think, 2.5 years. So he was great. I really had big expectations for him. And then it was right away when I started the business, boom. I thought I had 2 good employees, and within the first 2 weeks, they're gone.
That's a gut punch.
Yeah.
What about the other guy?
I had kind of kept in touch with him on Facebook. He would like and comment our stuff still, and you see whatever, because we were friends on Facebook. He had got a job as a janitor. I think it was more his speed, just like a low-key government job,
Let's go clean some windows.
Yeah, mop the floor, milk spill,
It's not for everybody.
Yeah.
Hardscaping is hard work.
Yeah, and we just looked at, all the clamps and suction equipment. We didn't have that back then.
Exactly. Yeah.
It was pry bars and straps and just picking stuff up.
So I'm guessing you're thinking this is I often ask, what's the biggest challenge you've ever overcome in business? I'm guessing this is what you're referring to.
That was it.
What did you do to overcome that?
Put ads out all over the place, and I was on the job. We do the 4 10-hour day schedule. So I was on the job 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. all day, every day, and then working in the office till who knows what time at night and doing it all myself. But I hired some people, and I ended up with this guy. He was pretty fresh from Italy. Really, really good, really hard worker. And he stuck around for 4.5 years. Okay. And he worked with Brian and Steve, who are with me now. And just his family moved to Pennsylvania, and he was, recently married, and I think he had a young kid, and he was just like, we want to be near the family. I completely understand. So I did get a couple of good employees, but it was just a rough start.
And then everybody on Instagram just sees your pictures coming out. Everything's hunky-dory. Everything's all clean.
Yeah, peaches and cream. Yep.
It's quit work at 4:50 in the afternoon and kind of go,
Yeah, 4-day work week, three days off, right? 3 days in the office.
Right.
Yeah.
So back to your business, for the sake of everybody listening, what your team size, what's kind of your bread butter type project, that kind of thing?
So we're super small.
Yeah.
I'm very involved in pretty much every aspect on the job every morning, but with the employees I have now that are awesome. Been with me for 7 years. Sometimes I'm only on the job for 5 minutes.
For the day.
For the day.
Yeah, sure.
And they can take it from there. Sometimes it's a half a day. It all depends how complicated or what we're doing, or if they ran into some kind of problem. We just do one job at a time. It's all residential. When I worked for my father, he was all commercial, more of the high volume, low bid, state work, doing work like highway work, schools, strip malls, banks, grocery stores, all commercial new construction. And it was a good experience, but that was probably the main reason that I didn't want to just continue his business, because it wasn't for me.
So that's thankless work.
Yeah, very thankless. All they care about is that you give them the lowest price, and then they want it done yesterday. That's it.
That's pretty much pretty much facts.
Yeah, and there would be an occasion where my father would get residential work, whether it was a friend or family, or these big contractors we were working for. They're like, oh, can you do this at my house? He would send me because he knew I was real meticulous. I'd do a nice job, make them happy. And they would actually say thank you, great job. Where on a commercial project, they're like, why isn't it done yet? I'm like, I want to do residential work.
Yeah, I am with you.
Yeah. And it's just, the people are so happy because you're
changing
building them.
Their home.
Changing the whole look. We just did this job. We did the walkway and the stairs and the front porch, and they just can't believe how different and nice their house looks, and just can't thank us enough. So we do a lot of that. A lot of the houses around here have the garage in the basement. And then to get from the driveway to the front door is a full flight of stairs. So there's a retaining wall and there's steps, and it's a pretty decent sized project. You know, a lot of people aren't happy about it.
Yeah, right.
But
whoever built the houses back in the day.
yeah,
didn't think
talk
about
to the guy that
right?
put your garage in the basement.
Yeah, exactly.
If you go from the garage to your kitchen in the house, it's a full flight of stairs. So if you go from your garage where the driveway is to your front door, it's a full flight of stairs.
Yeah.
So yeah, we just finished one. We have another one I'm working on the design for. So it's retaining walls and stairs, and it's dealing with elevations, you know, getting from, we can't change the elevation of the driveway, and we can't change the elevation of the front door. So it's a lot of measuring and calculating the steps and the slope and pitch of the walkway and things like that. So we've done a lot of those. And we've done a lot of patios. Pool decks, we do a lot of remodeling pool decks. We don't do a lot of new pools. A lot of pool builders are looking for the low bidder.
Yep.
I want to come in there and deal with the fresh backfill
Yeah.
so that my project doesn't settle in 2 years. And that costs money.
Yeah.
And the other guy that's cheaper is not doing that, but that's all they care about. So we're working for the people that, you know, have a pool that's been there 25 years. The concrete, the original concrete around it is all cracked and uneven, and they're ready for something new.
Coming in for an overhaul.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll rip out all the concrete, new pavers all around the pool. You know, occasionally it's, you know, a structure, pergola, pavilion. A lot of pools around here. I know it's New Jersey, but it is hilly around here. So a lot of the times you need a retaining wall, whether it's a cut wall, fill wall, or a little bit of each on either side, depending on, you know, the elevation of the pool.
What's your average project size in terms of dollars?
Yeah, so I mean, we did last year this little walkway just right down the street, $4,000.
Yeah.
You know, tiny little walkway. We did it in like a half a day.
Yeah.
And we've done a few projects over 100,000, maybe 3. And that's like big retaining walls. We did one of those big block walls where each block is 1,300 pounds, but it was a lot of it. That was over 100,000. We've done a few just with a regular 8-inch block, a few 100 feet of walls with stairs, all incorporated over 100,000. But like the typical, like you said, bread and butter, like patio job we'll do is probably in like the 30 to 50, 30 to 60.
Yep. It's a nice, dude, it's a nice
yeah.
size.
We bang it out in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
The people love it.
Yeah.
You know, they pay for it.
Yeah.
You know, maybe
And
a
it's
fire
accessible.
pit.
Like a lot of the population can do that.
Yeah. Most patios we can get the machine in. We can most of the time even get the dump truck back there.
Sure.
Put the track mats down. You know,
Yeah.
get the dump truck in the backyard that we can work right out of the dump truck. I hate dumping clean stone.
Yeah.
Like on the lawn.
Yeah.
You're either going to get dirty stone or you're going to, you know, trash the lawn. So if we work right out of the truck, right in the backyard, you know, maybe a fire pit, low voltage lighting we do a lot of. People love that. You know, they're out there enjoying their patio and it gets dark and all of a sudden the lights come on and they don't have to go inside. It's good.
Yeah, dude, the lighting, if a homeowner happens to listen to this, which is probably pretty unlikely, but like lighting will double, if not, like it's like it's such a small portion of the overall project cost.
Yes.
But you get so much more out of the project.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. And sometimes it's a tough sell because if they're dropping 50 grand on the patio.
Well, the nice thing is it's an easy upsell.
Yeah, sometimes you know, they're like, oh, $6 grand for lighting, you know, and maybe, you know, on the fence, you know, and then I'll set up the demo lights.
Yeah.
I have a demo kit with a transformer, you just plug and play.
Gets them every time.
You
Not
set it
every
up,
time, but
you know, and just the next morning, I'll be like what do you mean you're taking those away?
Leave those right there.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like it's an easy thing to upsell.
Yeah.
It's an easy thing.
Yeah.
And like when I was a foreman at Tussie, in SynkedUP, you know, when a work area is marked as on hold,
Yes.
it's crossed out in red in the
Yeah.
app. As soon as I'd be kicking off a new job, I'd go look to see if there's anything that was rejected on the original proposal.
Right.
And
right.
I loved doing upsells. Like I would get on the project, establish a rapport with the client, get to know them. We'd start seeing the project come together, and then I you know, if there was a water feature like a bubbling rock or something that got cut because it saved some money.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd come in and just seal the
because
deal,
you're there,
you know?
you've been there for a week or two, you know, they see the progress, they trust you.
Yeah.
And then boom, let's do that.
And in my best year at Tussie, I sold over $300,000 worth of upsells.
Wow, as a foreman.
As a foreman.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah.
So
yeah, but back to the lighting, like
yeah.
I've never had a client regret going for the lighting.
Right.
In the beginning, they're shocked of what the cost, because we use cast. They're solid sand cast bronze. The fixtures aren't cheap. You can run them over with a truck. They're not going to break. They come with a lifetime warranty. It's expensive.
Yeah.
But I've never had a client regret it.
Yep.
They're always, I can't believe how nice this is at night, and we can still enjoy our space with all of our guests at night because we can see.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah.
In business, as you grew your team, as you grew the team to the core team that you have with the two guys you have, my impression of you coming here and seeing your office and your business is like driven, meticulous, organized. I'm curious, what's the best advice you've ever been given that you have put into play and have been like, that was awesome?
Yeah, well, I've thought of that, and I couldn't narrow it down. There's 3 great pieces of advice I've gotten.
We can go for all 3.
Okay. First one I got to give to my parents.
Yeah.
And as far as I can remember, they told me to spend less than you make.
Seems like such a simple concept, no?
Yeah. Like, I don't care if you make $100 and you spend 99, you saved $1.
Yeah.
Put something away. Put something in the savings account. I do have loans. I don't pay cash for everything, but everything gets paid every month. The credit card, bill gets paid in full every month. Never carry a balance. Equipment, truck loans, things like that, always paid on time, if not early, and put a little bit away at the end of each month. That was the first one, and that way, something happens, you got a little stash, if you need it.
I just finished a book that somebody recommended to me called The Richest Man in Babylon. It's about financial principles. And in that book, it was super interesting. It was set in historic Babylon.
Yeah, wow.
And it was story after story after story. And one of them was, like you said, if you make $100, put 10% away.
Yeah.
Pretend you don't even have it.
Yeah.
Pretend it doesn't exist. Just put it away and forget about it. And if you have debt, take 20% of what's left to allocate towards any debts or anything that you have, and the rest is what you live on.
Right.
So you only live on 70%, provided you have debt or whatever.
Right.
Or you could also say, if you don't have debt, you could take that 20% and save for a purchase.
Right.
But that just made me, what you said just made me think of that. Like it seems like even a second grader could tell you that, well, that ain't gonna work, if you spend more than you make.
Yeah.
But man,
tell that to the government.
tell it to the adult population too.
Yeah. The majority of Americans, I believe, have like terrible credit card balances that they just pay the minimum balance. My kids are like learning that in school. They're like doing this like financial planning class and saying, pretend you have this job and what's your salary and what's your rent and your credit card, you're gonna pay the minimum payment. And my son was like, what? That's not how you do it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I think we're done with the good advice. So that sounded like bad advice. What's the other piece of good advice?
So we go to all the events every winter, but this is, still back in the 90s. Cambridge was doing great stuff every winter. They had Steve Jones with Pave Tech. That's when I first started buying some of the paver specific tools like the extractor and stuff. But they had one seminar with Charles Vanderkoy. I was very fortunate to sit in 2 of his classes, and that guy was magical. Just the way he would speak. Did you ever see him in person?
I did not.
Oh my God.
Steve and Matt and Derek did.
Yeah.
I did not. I was still hustling out as a crew member on the team back in those days.
So he did this one presentation about charging by the square foot. And he just went nuts on anyone that said they charged by the square foot.
Like called him out.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because he'd say, who charges by the square foot? And like pretty much everyone but me raised their hand. And he just went ballistic.
Man, I wonder if there's any videos of him on YouTube or something.
Yeah. And he would just give all these examples of, how that's just wrong. And you charge by the square foot. So every job is the same. Whether it's big or small or tight access or easy access, you're going to charge the same price. So what's going to happen is the job that has really easy access and someone could bang out faster, you're going to lose. Someone's going to give a cheaper price, but it's a job that they can bang out really quick. So they can go in a little lower and they're going to get the job. And then the job that is like small, very intricate, really difficult to access, your square foot price is going to be lower than everyone else's. And
You're going to win that one.
Yeah, that's the only work you're going to get. And soon enough, you're going to run out of money because you're only doing all these jobs that you're losing money on. And I just took everything he said and that whole multiple overhead recovery system, estimating jobs by material, labor, equipment, subs, overhead, and profit. And I did it in spreadsheets, but I just took that, and when I started estimating my own work, I just calculated everything itself. Material, labor, overhead, equipment, and allocated overhead to each thing, and added the profit at the end. And he said, definition of an estimate is the science of arriving at what it costs your company to do a particular job. And the definition of a bid is the price at which you're willing to do that job. Could be higher, could be lower, even though it really shouldn't.
Yeah.
But the estimate is the estimate. That's what it costs your company to do that job. So I just really took what he said and put that into practice, and I, from then on, estimated every job individually, never did the whole square foot thing.
I'm curious, did you do production rates?
I never did production rates until this past winter. I started with my 2 years of SynkedUP data.
I see.
I started putting
Building
production rates in, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
but so you were doing this, I see, yeah, okay. How long ago was this that you were in these seminars with Charles Vanderkoy?
That was like in the 90s. Like
Wow.
I started working for my father in 1996, and it was like right away I was going to the trade shows and things in the winter. So maybe it was 98, 99. I know it was early on.
Yeah, he's definitely he's come up before on the podcast today with the other people we were visiting too,
Yeah.
and like he's kind of the grandfather of that multiple overhead recovery
Absolutely.
system.
Yeah. So after that I bought his book. I read it cover to cover, maybe 2 or 3 times. Knowing like I'm gonna have my own business someday. I need to know, and I read it, just over and over and over, and estimate the way that he preached.
And did you see a difference or was this before you were even bidding your own
It was
jobs?
even before I was bidding my own job.
Okay.
Yeah. So I saw my father did it on pencil and paper. He wasn't a computer guy, I saw him doing it on pencil and paper, so that's what I started doing. Pencil, but everything out separately. So it'd be like multiple pages just for a simple paper job. And then if the customer wanted to make a change, I'd be there with the eraser, or just crumpling it up and starting all over again. And that's when I was like, there's got to be a better way. And I saw my mother, because she worked in the office for my father, and she had these spreadsheets. I'm like, what's that? How do you do that? Can you teach me how to do that? And then I got into the spreadsheets, and I had spreadsheets for everything, for material, labor, equipment, overhead, all separate spreadsheets. Spreadsheets for tracking the time, because I always did. Charles Vanderkoy preached that job costing. I only job costed labor, and that was from Charles Vanderkoy. He's like, if you're a small company, the material isn't nearly as risky as labor. You have to at least track and job cost your labor. Most chance you're going to go wrong on a project is going to be the labor. I can measure and calculate how much stone and how many pavers and how many retaining wall block.
The other thing with labor is if you get it wrong, you pay for it twice.
Right.
What I mean by that is not only do you pay for the cost of, say, the labor overrun, you also pay, you are unable to go do your next job and to get the next job done. So opportunity cost.
It's like double.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're paying for
whereas
finish this
materials
job
just twice. I'm sorry, just once.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's not as bad. I mean, if we use an extra ton or two of 3/4 stone on a job,
not that big of a deal.
It doesn't really hurt. But if we, the job takes an extra 2-3 days.
That hurts. Big time. And you didn't recover the overhead.
Yes.
It just gets you so many different ways.
Right. So I always track the labor.
Yeah.
And would spend that time, while dinner's getting cold, entering all that info from my foreman's paper timesheet with the pencil and paper into the spreadsheets.
No more cold pizza, right?
No, not with SynkedUP. It's done automatically. I pretty much just glance at it every day now just to see where we're at on the project.
That's beautiful.
And my foreman, in the morning when he clocks in, he looks and he can see that progress bar where we're at. So there's no secrets, no unknowns.
Right.
Everyone on the team.
When you
knows where
lose
we're
money
at.
or you go over on a job or whatever, you know exactly where and why.
Yes, real time. It's not, 2 weeks later, like, hey guys, that job didn't go so well. I don't even have to tell them because they see it right there on the app.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
And then what that gives you the ability to do is actually potentially do something about it? Meaning like,
Oh, yeah.
what could we do here about the way we're approaching this work to overcome the deficit?
Yeah, yeah. We'll have a get together after every project and go over each work area, what went well, what didn't go well. And if it's a larger project, more than a month, we'll have monthly meetings. Like we were on a project
smart.
last year that was 3 months long. So we'll say, hey, this is where we're at. This is what's left.
That's good. I love that you know, having processes like that in your business is so valuable. Just imagine a kickoff process. Can't be kicked off until there's pictures in there. Until where's the materials coming from? Is the materials ordered? Like you can't close the job until it's all been invoiced. Just having processes for all this stuff is so important.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you said you had 3 things.
Three. So there's one more. So I had this was, I think, almost 4 years ago, at least a year or two before I started with SynkedUP. My wife has a cousin that's my age, and he has his own remodeling business. He's been in business about 20 years. Pretty successful. I think he's got about 20 employees, does a few $1 million worth. You know, he's in Pennsylvania, about an hour away. But we see each other a lot. We're the same age. We talk, you know, business a lot. So we were having this conversation, and I was kind of down because I was saying, you know, we're busy. We've always had plenty of work, but I'm like, man, I'm running around like crazy. I'm doing all these designs and estimates, and for every 10 projects I give a design and estimate, I'm getting three jobs. And I'm like, it's just killing me. You know, some of these jobs, I'm like spending hours, if not days, doing this grand 3D design, full, you know, multi-page, very detailed proposal, and they say, oh, that looks great. We're gonna think about it. Never hear from him again. 7 out of 10 times, that's all I would get. My wife's cousin, Steve, looks at me, he goes, I get like 10 out of 10. How do you do that? Please share. And he did, and it's the Sandler sales system. His name is Gary Fedor.
Okay, I don't know that one.
He's since retired from Sandler, but I still have him as a business coach.
Okay.
And it's now sales and management.
Describe what that is. The Sandler sales system. Well, first of all, how much did it help you? You went from closing 3 out of 10 to what?
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so how? What is Sandler?
It's a lot. So like first I signed up for like this 4-month program where you meet, it's on Zoom, hour and a half once a week. And there's a book and there's homework. And there's a lot you have to do, but it's this probably a little too much for your podcast right now because I could probably talk for days about it. But,
the 2-minute version.
Yeah, it's just a completely revamping your sales process. I'm not saying 10 out of 10 people that call me turn into a client that we do a project for.
Right. 10 out of 10 people that you get a design and bid and all that for.
And not 10 out of 10 people that I go out and meet with, but 10 out of 10 people that I give a proposal to because they have to earn that proposal. There's questions I ask on the first phone call.
Okay.
And maybe we decide right then and there on the first phone call that we're not a good fit and I'm not even going to go meet with them. So that screens out some.
Yep.
Some people, if we, you know, think, you know, we might be able to help them and might be a good fit for them, I'll go out and meet with them. I'll still ask, a lot of it is asking questions. When they ask you a question, you reply with another question. If I just start rattling off features and benefits of what I do, how do I know that that's what they want? I need to be more like a doctor. So when you go to the doctor's office, you don't go there and tell them, I want this medicine for my problem. And then he just says, okay, here's your prescription. He's gonna ask you a ton of questions about your problem. And then when you answer, he's gonna ask you more questions to really dig deep and find out exactly what your problem is and then prescribe what's gonna work for you. So I need to ask the prospect enough questions that I know really what they want and why they want it so that my design and my proposal meets exactly what they want. And they don't always tell you up front exactly what they want. You might have to ask a few questions to find out really what they want or why, so that you don't just throw out a price. Oh, you want this patio? Oh, here's your price. Well, why are they gonna hire you? If you're the cheapest price, maybe, but you asked a ton of questions and they're like, wow, this guy really understands me. This guy really knows what we want. We wanna hire him because people buy from people.
Yep.
People aren't buying the product, they're buying from me. And if they feel comfortable with me and they trust me, they're gonna wanna do business with me, even if my price is a little higher than the other guy. So I'm not out there to get work based on price.
Yeah.
I'm there to gain their trust.
And give them what their vision is.
Right. Learn exactly what it is, what they want, when they want it, why they want it, what they plan on doing with it.
Is it fair to say that what's happening psychologically is you're switching the client's thought process from I'm being sold to I'm buying?
Yes. You let them make their own decision to buy from you. Yes.
They expect you to sell them. Like,
yeah, I'm not out there whipping out samples or catalogs and saying, look at this, and this paver is so great because of this, and we do this much bass, and we have this model compactor. No, they don't care about that kind of stuff. There are some different personalities of people. Sure. Some people want all of those details, some people don't, and you try to read their personality. And if someone starts asking me all these questions about how thick our bass is and how deep we dig and what kind of compactor we use, okay, well, they want those details, maybe I'll give them to them. Mm-hmm. But if somebody just says, I want this patio and we have this party coming up and we need it done, when can you do it? They don't care about the size of my compactor.
Not at all. Couldn't care less.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's say I'm the contractor out there getting 2 or 3 out of 10 bids. Mm-hmm. Like, what would you say? Like, hey, this was a process. It's a methodology or a philosophy about sales. How long should I expect to take me to kind of learn and adapt to this process?
I've been in it for 4 years.
And is it something that you feel you kind of get the principle of and then you're good? Or is it something like a fine wine that's always getting better?
Yes. So the original foundations class, the Sandler Foundations, is 4 months.
Of weekly calls.
Of weekly Zoom. There's, maybe 10 people in it with the one instructor. You do that and then you graduate. And you can just go on from there, and some people do, or you can stay with your instructor. And after that was like a sales mastery, but that was just once a month. Mm-hmm. My coach is kind of like on retainer, where I pay him monthly. We have our monthly Zoom for an hour and a half, but anytime that I need help, he's there. So if I'm working with a prospect, for whatever reason, I'm not sure exactly how to respond or what I should do next, or they're ghosting me, what should I do? I send him an email. Sometimes it's forwarding the email string between me and the prospect. What do you think I should do here? How should I respond? And he'll help me out anytime. I stay with it.
That's amazing.
And then, every month there's a new topic, and we're always, there's about a dozen people in it, so we're all, helping each other as well, because we're all saying, And
is it geared for contractors?
Pretty much. There are a couple of, there's remodelers, plumbers, there's a couple other, landscapers that, we do the same type of work. Trades.
Yeah.
But Sandler in general, no.
It's a psyche thing. It's a psychological thing.
Yeah, it can apply to any. There's, when I took the foundations, there was insurance salespeople, financial people. Whatever you do, you have to sell what you do.
Yeah.
Like I said, not every phone call, not every consultation, but when we get through what we call the pain step, people buy because they have pain for whatever reason. If it's something obvious, like their retaining wall collapsed, we got to rebuild it. There's some deep pain, but they want this big outdoor living space.
I've heard the painkiller or vitamin concept. Everything we buy is either a painkiller or a vitamin. Painkillers are easier to sell.
Right, and the more questions you ask, the more you can dig deep into their pain.
Yeah.
Get them to sell themselves and get to the point where I need this. And
then once you find a pain spot, I don't want my mom tripping on this step. And do you really dig into it like your doctor does?
So, but basically, at some point, then we have to talk about the budget. Mm-hmm. And typically, if you ask, 1 out of 10 will maybe say, "Oh yeah, I was hoping to spend this," and then they're probably not telling you the truth. Mm-hmm. So I'll take some time, depending on the size of the project. I'll take some time to measure. When we get to that point, I'll say, "Give me 15, 20 minutes. Let me measure." So I can come up with an idea of what this is going to cost. I'll measure it, whatever it is, get the zip level out, whatever, come up with an idea, and 20-something years of doing these projects, you get to know what they cost. Mm-hmm. With SynkedUP right on my phone, if we've done a recent project in the last 2 years that's very similar, I just pull that right up on my phone and say, this project was $27,000. This one's a little bit bigger, or this one was 2 years ago and prices have gone up. This one's going to be maybe 30 to 35. Mm-hmm. So then I'll say to them, okay, this project is going to be between 30 and 35,000. Is that what you were hoping to invest in this project? You don't want to say, is that what you can afford? You don't want to insult them. Ask if that was they were hoping to invest. Put it nicely that way. Mm-hmm. And you're going to get an answer. Mm-hmm. You're going to get, that sounds fair to me, or that's just what I was expecting. Or you're going to get, which happens more often than not, oh my God, I was thinking maybe half that, And then maybe you don't have a client. Or what do you think? Is doing nothing an option? If it's really just a wish list item, then maybe they're not going to do the project. Or I got a guy half your price. Well, why do you think he's half my price?
That's a good one. I love that one.
If, they're unhappy with the price and for whatever reason they don't want to invest that much into the project, okay, do you have anything other than price that's important to you? If they're comparing prices to other contractors, okay, well, what is it that you're going to use to make your decision on which contractor is the best fit for your family? Anything other than price? Is it references? Is it reputation? Is it insurance? Is it warranty? Is it the products they use? Is it their installation? Like, what other considerations are you considering to make your decision here? Mm-hmm. And sometimes if it's, I'm just going to pick the guy with the lowest price, and then, okay, well then we're probably not the right contractor for you.
Right.
And then I walk away.
Don't waste any more time.
Nothing ever got put in writing.
All you did was a 15, 20-minute ballpark price investment.
I never worked up a design. I never worked up an estimate.
Yeah.
And we just found out at the first consultation that we're not going to be working together, and that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
It's like if you're going to get a no, the sooner you get the no, the better.
Yes, that's what I was just going to say. One of the main Sandler things is always give the option for a no right up front. After I meet the prospect and we talk about the weather, one of the first things I say is, at the end of this, if we decide for whatever reason we're not going to work together, that's okay. And I want you to be comfortable telling me no. And okay, so then if it's a no at the end, it's okay. But then I move on to something else.
Like maybe get back in time for dinner?
Yes, exactly. Yes, which I don't do appointments after 5 o'clock. I don't.
Yeah.
My appointments are Monday through Friday between 7 and 5. I don't do weekend appointments.
That's really good information. And I know Derek at Tassi.
Him and I spoke about it.
Did you? Okay, because
Yes.
he's gone through it as well. And I don't know if you remember last year at the Contractor Summit, he was telling us how he sold $5.5 million with a 92% close rate.
Yeah.
And people were like, how?
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's good at what he does.
Yeah. So if they agree to this budget that I present, okay, this patio is between 30 and 35,000.
Then you bid it.
Then we get out the design agreement.
Oh, okay.
And the design agreement is a written agreement between me and the client now, which outlines describes the project and takes a 5% deposit of the low number of the range. So if this is a $30,000 to $35,000 project,
5% of 30,000.
we're taking a $1,500 deposit to design and estimate their project. So that's when I'll take a whole bunch of more measurements, pictures. I'll start designing their project because now I'm getting paid for it.
Yeah, right.
So that includes, 3D design, bringing them sample pavers to pick the materials, and however many return trips to modify the design and bring more samples until the design is exactly what they want and all the materials are picked. At that point, then I can give them a fixed price. Because then I know exactly what I'm building and what I'm building it with. At that point, they have two choices. For whatever reason, and again, go for the no first. If you don't want us to build this project for you, that's okay. You've paid for the design, it's yours to keep. You gave me $1,500. I've tracked my time and only spent $1,100 for this design. Here's your $400 check back. Here's your design. I wish you the best. It's never happened. There was one time when someone asked for the balance back and didn't go for it, but it was because they had to get a whole new heating system for the house.
Money went elsewhere.
Money went elsewhere. 6 months later, they called me and we did the project.
So you never, going through that process, you've never done a design and not got the job?
Correct.
That's
and it's only been
impressive.
4 years.
That's impressive.
But yeah.
But that just shows how critical vetting is to your sales pipeline.
Yeah, and they feel very comfortable because I explain the whole process. Number one, most people say, well, that's very fair.
Yeah.
And number two, people laugh and joke at that point, why would I say no?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that is a key, I think, the key negotiation point is giving people the option of saying no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people don't want to hear no. I think most humans don't like rejection. But wouldn't you rather get a no at the first consultation?
100%.
Or would you rather spend 10, 12 hours on a full 3D design and bringing samples to this client to then present them with a proposal? So now you've got maybe multiple days invested into this for them to ghost you and never hear back. Because I did that for many years.
Yeah. On that note, to kind of frame a question a different way, if you would go back to the beginning when you first went into business for yourself, what is one thing you do differently?
Yes. I would start the Sandler sales system
Right away.
Immediately. I don't even want to know. And I probably could never calculate exactly, but I've probably spent weeks, if not months, of my life on designs and estimates for people that had no intention of ever working with me. There were times when I would give that free design. I mean, this is when it was like, pencil and paper. I had one use it then for the permit for their project that they hired someone else for, but it was my design that they like whited out my name. So that ended free designs right there once I found out about that. But I wish that I had that conversation with Steve 10 years prior.
That's amazing.
I'll
I'll have to make sure we put your information in the show notes for this episode, because like I'm sure there's gonna be people that want to.
Yeah.
Hey, where do I get this?
There's two things that have just saved so much of my time, and it's Sandler and SynkedUP, both in different ways.
Sure.
SynkedUP streamlining so many aspects of my business, just having things happen automatically or having things go so much faster, and Sandler just saving me so much time, wasting my time for people that have no intention of doing business with me.
I love the way you say that, because contractors, as a role, live the first life you explained. And they, like you said, spend months of your life
It had to have been because
working with people that were no intention of working with you.
I mean, 2005, I started my business, and even though it was only part-time working for my father and working for myself, I was still doing designs and estimates. So like part-time for 7 years, and then on my own for 6. Before I started the Sandler, maybe 7. Been 11 years full-time on my own. So, that's what, like 14 years of free designs and estimates for 7 out of 10 people that never hired me.
Yeah, that's
most likely didn't even like give me a no because I didn't give them that option. Yeah.
And it's as simple as giving them the option,
Yeah.
With SynkedUP, if it's Sandler and SynkedUP, what is it that made SynkedUP be one of the things that you would go back and do right from the get-go? What's the thing that it does for you?
SynkedUP didn't exist.
Right, exactly.
At the get-go, and I never used any other program. I briefly looked into a couple of others, never even started with them, and at that trade show when I saw Fred, I had in mind the clocking in. Because my foreman's doing it on pencil and paper. And wouldn't it be great to just be able to punch in and have it show up on my end and spit out the payroll report and just, make things so much easier, because that clipboard with the pencil and paper gets rained on, gets run over by the machine. Wouldn't it be nice? We talked to Fred, and my 2 employees were right there with me, and we're all looking at each other like, yeah, that's what we want. And I had no idea that it did all the other things that I did at the time until I signed up for the demo. I'm really glad that SynkedUP is the software that I ended up with. Not that I was on this big hunt for software. It was just, hey, let me go talk to that guy over there. What's this? It says SynkedUP at the booth. That might be what we're looking for. So it was a good thing I didn't end up with one of those others, because I'm so happy with what I have.
What would you say is the most useful thing about it for you today?
It's a really tough call, because I get a phone call. If we decide that we're gonna set up a consultation, I punch their info in right there, and I love how then it spits out that email, which I've customized for myself, sends them an email, sends it to me. The calendar invite is right there in it. So I use that for leads and scheduling consultations. Then if we decide that, they're good with the budget range, we're gonna actually do an estimate. I've got a design agreement. Then I'm doing my estimate, and that saved me an enormous amount of time, because I used to have, like I said, all these spreadsheets. Now I have the item catalog right there. Drag and drop the materials. The one thing, I haven't used a lot of templates. I do better with the copy estimate feature. Now that I have over 2 years of projects in SynkedUP, when I go to do a new estimate, I just pick the previous project that we've done that's most similar and just copy it. My 15 work areas for that one little walkway are all in there. So it's just modifying it to this particular project, but everything is already there. So the estimates are just amazingly faster, and they've also become a lot more accurate. Because the job costing just happens automatically. So, all right, I'm copying the estimate for this project that we did last year.
And you have the job costing information.
I have the job costing there, so I know exactly what that job took. And all I gotta do is say, look, this job's a little bigger, or this job's a little smaller, and just tweak it a little bit. It's done.
Beautiful.
Yeah, the planning. We're in here in the office with my employees going over the work areas.
Yep.
So they
Screen
know
on the wall.
exactly, everything is there. The 3D design is in the app, so they can see it on their phone. the material list is all in there, and they're clocking in and out. So it's like payroll is lightning fast because every 2 weeks I just click that little thing on the time thing, and it shows their hours, and I'm done.
Beautiful.
And the job costing with the status bars, with the labor and the material, like we go over it after every project and see where we did well, where we went wrong, talk about why. Even if something went well, we talk about why. Well, we did this faster than I expected. Why? What did we do? Is that something we can do again? And if something went wrong, well, why did it go wrong? What are we going to do differently next time? I'll be honest and say most of the time I just didn't put enough hours in the estimate for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's maybe, we ran into this problem. The next job, that's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, right.
Or,
right. Sometimes it's an anomaly and sometimes it's a pattern. Yeah.
Or, okay, this is taking a little bit longer. Well, the next estimate, I'm going to put a few more hours in it.
Because you have the data right there?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I don't know if I could pick one thing, but I guess just the whole thing overall has just completely changed our company culture because I'm so much more of an open book now. There's no secrets, and there's another Sandler saying, there's no mutual mystification. The employees and me have access, and they have the foreman access, but I show them the price. I don't care. I think that helps. They know the value of the job that they're working on. And they know if it goes over budget, they see how much money we lost. If it's the other way around, then they're proud that they built this project and made all that money.
Exactly.
It's really helped me just with like the open and honesty with my employees of showing them everything on SynkedUP. Before I had spreadsheets, but it just wasn't the same.
Yeah. Spreadsheets are powerful stuff, but the trouble with spreadsheets is the input.
Yeah.
The collection of the data. That's the tough part. You can do amazing math.
Yeah.
But that's where software kind of bridges that gap.
It's definitely made things better around here, and it's just saved me a ton of time with the estimates being faster, the job costing happening automatically. I used to be in here for a half an hour to an hour every night, taking my foreman's paper timesheet, and I would have spreadsheet for the labor, enter it into, and because everything is listed separately, he would have like 10 things he did that day because layout and excavation and compaction and base prep and drainage, fabric, like everything is listed out and how much time he spent on each thing. And then I'm entering it in the spreadsheet. And then I have a separate spreadsheet for my payroll. And then nothing is job costed automatically. I then have to, at the end of the job, go back and look at it. And
just took forever.
Yeah. So now I glance at it, maybe 5 minutes, if that, 2 minutes, I don't know. I just glance at it and, okay, they clocked out of this project. Here's where we're at. Okay. I'm going to go have dinner with my family.
Beautiful. Love it.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of dinner, it's about that time, isn't it? Before we go, though, where can people find you? Where can people reach out to you?
We're General Paving Stones. We have a website, generalpavingstones.com, which is, static, but it has information about our company. It has, pictures of our work. But we are on social media. We are nowhere near influencer status. I do post on Facebook and Instagram, General Paving Stones. I did kind of start my own personal mission at the last SynkedUP Contractor Summit. Was it like end of September, early October?
Yeah.
Last year,
Yeah.
there was that influencer panel. And I was just shocked that there's these guys with like tens of thousands of followers, and here I am with like 430. So I've been on a mission, and I'm almost up to 600 now.
Dude, there you go.
I'm trying to do stories and reels and interesting posts and engage. Yeah, so I've added a couple hundred followers.
There you go. That's what it takes. You just got to be consistent on the platforms.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. And we'll put the links down in the show notes so you guys can click on it and find him and find out where his Sandler sales coach is. 'Cause I bet you're gonna get some questions on that.
I can hook you up.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
But John, you are an amazing friend, an amazing customer, and I'm proud of the way you are one of the most detailed. The way you do anything is how you do everything, And you the way that you utilize SynkedUP to its nth degree it's a model for everyone else out there. So definitely pick John's brain if you're listening to this. Just want to say thank you for your hospitality and for putting your faith and trust in us as a little software company here for your business. And it's a pleasure to be working with you. And I look forward to, continuing our partnership for many years.
It's been great. I'm so glad that you've done what you've done, and I love your story. I'm so glad to be just a little, part of the team here. And that's how it is, not just a software company like QuickBooks. That's all it is. With SynkedUP, it's you, and it's Fred, and it's Kyle, and it's the whole team behind you that they always go above and beyond. And I have a question, I have an issue, it's like an instant response. It really makes you feel like family, and I really enjoy being part of it.
Nothing makes our whole team prouder than hearing that.
All right.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Let's go grab some dinner.